the deep state, or whatever you want to call it, is asking us to silence, to be quiet. Can you tell us what this war on free speech is and how it's impacted you?
Yeah, I think of it as the leading edge of the effort to take down our country, because much of that is being done, of course, by obvious enemies overseas who are engaged in various kinds of destructive activities. You've documented so well here at the Economic War Room in the battle space of our economy and trade and technology and the like. But every bit as dangerous, I think, in some ways even more dangerous, is what they're doing inside our country. And you mentioned the deep state. Of course, that's a way we now describe the hostility of people in the permanent U.S. government bureaucracy to the kind of leadership that Donald Trump is trying to provide, and Republicans more generally, I think it's fair to say. We have the red-green axis, the hard left on the one hand, and the what I think of as Sharia supremacists on the other. And the leading edge of that group is the Muslim Brotherhood. They're working to take us down sort of stealthily, and if we can't warn people about what they're doing and let them know that this threat exists and is actually metastasizing, well, it just makes their job in defeating us that much easier.
So we know from the 1930s, we know that the Nazis infiltrated our government, our education system, and so forth. When you say the word Sharia...
And the communists, of course.
And the communists did it
even more so.
In the 50s and the 60s and the 70s.
Well, actually starting back in the 30s, too.
In the 30s
look at
as
Diana
well.
West's terrific book, American Betrayal, she really documents that to it fairly well.
So this isn't new that people have infiltrated our government and society, but it seems more pervasive and it seems more threatening in certain ways. But you mentioned Sharia. So why should we be upset because someone wears a burqa at the local shopping mall?
Well, let me just back up for a second to cover the other point. I had a terrific conversation with our mutual friend Diana West on our radio show, Secure Freedom Radio, this week, in which she talked about the fact that one of the great successes of these enemies within during the heyday of the communist efforts to subvert us through our government, through the media, through our culture, and so on, was they made anti-communism the enemy instead of communism the enemy. They vilified Joe McCarthy, Senator Joe McCarthy, who was calling them out, who was using his speech on the floor of the Senate, among other places, to expose and try to protect our country against them. And he became, as I say, the problem, not the communists that he was exposing. And ever since, to this very day, Kevin, and Diana is very, very powerfully concerned about this, to this very day, it is even people on the right who are talking about, well, we don't want to be McCarthyism about this. We need people who understand there are domestic, internal security threats, and they need to be countered. So as to this question, it's not, of course, the lady in the burqa in this food mart. It is the guys who are as often as not wearing Armani suits, clean shaven in some cases, very friendly, who just happen to be Muslim Brotherhood operatives and are working at, in their own words, there's a wonderful book on the subject that we've printed. As you know, it was not written by us. It was written by one of their top Brotherhood leaders in America, a fellow by the name of Muhammad Akram, back in 1991. And what's so interesting about this is that it reveals their secret plan for, as he put it, quote, destroying Western civilization from within by their hands, meaning ours, and the hands of the believers, so that Allah's religion is made victorious over all other religions, unquote.